You have heard the same message since you were young. It came from teachers who circled red ink on your papers, from magazines that told you how to lose weight in 10 days, from well-meaning friends who said you could be even better if you only tried harder. The words changed, but the song was the same. You are not quite enough. You must improve yourself, refine yourself, fix yourself. And so you put your life on a long, noisy assembly line, hoping that if you add enough parts, fancier clothes, stronger muscles, sharper skills, the final product will finally deserve love and rest. Consider how this belief feels in the body. When you wake up, it is like a small stone in your shoe. You notice it with every step. You try new socks, you tighten the laces, but the stone remains. The mind calls it motivation, yet the heart knows it as discomfort. Day after day, you get used to the irritation until you forget that walking could ever feel gentle. You begin to think the stone is part of who you are. That is the spell of not enough. It makes the pain seem natural and the chase seem noble. Now imagine a different morning. You wake and feel no stone. You do not rush to check your phone for likes, or the scale for numbers, or your schedule for proof that you will matter today. Instead, you breathe, and the breath itself feels complete. Nothing is missing. The air enters the lungs for no reason except to keep you alive, and that alone is reason enough. Breakfast is simply food, not fuel for another sprint towards some distant prize. You look outside and the street is still the street, yet it appears wider, almost friendly. This is what life can look like when the spell breaks. People worry that if they feel good enough, they will grow lazy. They fear they will lie on the couch and let the world pass by. But look at children. Children do not think, I must earn worthiness before I can explore. They explore because exploring is joyful. They build sandcastles that the waves will wash away and still shout with glee. They run, then they fall, then they stand up laughing, not because falling proved them unworthy, but because standing feels fun. The energy of life moves through them without any story of self-fixing. When you remember that you are already enough, you reconnect with that same river of energy. Action returns, but it arrives as play instead of punishment. Let us talk about comparison, the twin sister of self-fixing. You scroll and see other people's highlight reels. Someone has clearer skin. Someone owns a brighter apartment. Someone travels to islands you have never heard of. Comparison whispers. They moved ahead while you stayed behind. But look closer. You are seeing one frame from a long film. Off screen, the person with perfect skin may be hiding sadness. The traveler may feel lonely in the hotel room. The bright apartment may echo with silence because its owner works until midnight to pay the rent. Comparison uses incomplete pictures to tell complete lies. When you notice this, the urge to measure yourself against others loosens its grip. Now think about advertising. It is built on the engine of lack. Buy this cream to erase wrinkles. Take this course to become confident. Listen to this 12-step plan to achieve inner peace. Brands do not sell products. They sell identities. Without the idea of an unfinished self, most advertising would collapse. The next time you see an ad, pause. Instead of asking, will this make me better? Ask, who told me I am deficient? Many costs in life are not the price of goods, but the price of forgetting our own sufficiency. Education often carries the same hidden theme. Grades appear to measure learning, yet they often measure conformity to a fixed standard. If you get an A, you feel worthy for a moment. If you get a C, you fear you are falling behind. But knowledge is not a staircase where each step means superiority over those below. It is more like an endless sky in which everyone can fly in different directions. You can love literature without mastering calculus, and you can enjoy physics without writing poetry. Abundance of paths means abundance of worth. Imagine a forest where every tree stressed about being pine instead of oak. The forest beauty lies in all its shapes. Your worth lies in your unique direction of growth. Some people confuse self-acceptance with arrogance. They say, if I think I am enough, won't I become self-fecented? Real arrogance is often a hidden form of insecurity, a loud proclamation to drown out a quiet doubt. Deep acceptance is actually humble. because it sees no need to shout. When you rest in being enough, you become softer, not louder. You listen more and defend less, because no attack can threaten your value. Conversations change tone. Competition melts into cooperation, because you no longer need to win worth, you already have it. What about mistakes? Surely doing wrong means you are not enough. Yet notice how a child learns to walk. The child falls again and again, but we do not call those falls failures. We call them steps. The same principle applies to adults. Maybe you spoke harsh words yesterday or missed an important deadline. The stumble is real. It may have consequences you need to face. But the stumble does not erase your basic worth, just as falling did not erase the toddler's ability to learn to walk. Guilt whispers, fix yourself first. Wisdom answers, stand up now and step again. Healing trauma can be more complex. Deep hurt may convince you that you are damaged. Yet even trauma does not touch the innermost core of sufficiency. Imagine a glass lamp covered in layers of mud. The mud blocks the light, but the bulb inside still burns. Therapy, meditation, supportive friends, they wash away mud bit by bit. Every layer removed reveals brightness that was never broken. Seeing that hidden brightness can motivate the hard work of healing. You do not heal to become enough. You heal because you are enough. Let us examine motivation that comes from sufficiency. Suppose you want to learn guitar. If you believe you are not good enough until you master complex chords, every practice session will carry tension. Each missed note will prove your low value. You will likely quit. But if you start from worthiness, practice becomes curiosity. Even wrong notes feel interesting. Over time, you improve faster because the mind is relaxed. Neuroscience agrees. A relaxed, playful brain learns better than a stressed, defensive one. So sufficiency is not an obstacle to progress. It is the best soil for it. Relationships flourish under the same principle. When two people believe they are incomplete, they expect each other to fill the gap. Disappointment blooms because no one can carry another's sense of lack for long. But when each person stands on the ground of already enough, they can share rather than demand. Love becomes a gift, not a contract. Conflicts still arise, yet they are solved faster, because apologizing does not mean admitting you were worthless. It only means you care about connection. Aging teaches another gentle lesson. Wrinkles show that life has traveled across your skin many times. Sagging muscles prove years of lifting burdens and laughter. A culture that worships youth calls these signs flaws. But a deeper view sees them as medals of time. Imagine trying to iron a map until it is completely flat. You would erase the very lines that show the journey. Your lines are the map of living. To erase them is to remove the proof that you have loved, worried, danced, wept and survived. Money often hides the largest illusion of lack. Society says, earn enough and you'll finally be safe and free. Yet many wealthy people still feel insecure because the target keeps moving. When you tie worth to numbers, any drop in numbers threatens identity. A simple way to loosen this tie is gratitude for what is already present. Look around your room and count real riches, the chair that holds you, the window that brings breeze, the device letting you hear these words. Gratitude does not cancel ambition. It puts ambition on a kinder foundation. Some ask, if everyone feels enough, what happens to competition and progress? Progress does not require insecurity. Creativity comes from wonder, not deficiency. The greatest scientific breakthroughs and artistic masterpieces often sprang from curiosity and love of beauty, not from a hunger to prove worth. A composer who writes to hear new harmonies is more likely to create lasting music than one who writes only to outsell a rival. Progress and sufficiency can walk together, each supporting the other. Try a small daily exercise. Each night before sleep, think of 3 moments when you felt alive that day. Not achievements, just moments. Perhaps sunlight on your face, the flavor of coffee, a kind smile from a stranger. Write them down. This tiny habit trains the mind to notice life, not lack. Over weeks, the inner climate shifts. You begin to wake in the same life but under a brighter sky. Language matters. Many people say, I have to do this. I must fix that. Replace have to with choose to. When you say, I choose, you remind yourself of agency, not obligation. Agency grows in the soil of enoughness. Obligation grows in the soil of lack. One sprouts creativity, the other leaves weeds of resentment. Notice also how you speak to yourself after a setback. Maybe you dropped a bowl and it shattered. Do you call yourself names inside? Try addressing yourself as you would a dear friend. That was a slip. Let's clean it up. Self-gentleness does not weaken responsibility. It strengthens resilience. A mind that feels safe bounces back faster. Technology can support or harm sufficiency. Endless scrolling often sells stories of almost there. But the same device can deliver meditations, educational videos, soulful music. Choose digital nutrition as carefully as food. You would not eat stale junk all day. Why feed the brain endless comparisons? Curate your feed to honor enoughness. A helpful metaphor is that of a garden bench. You work in the garden of life plant, water, weed. Enoughness is the bench that lets you sit and enjoy the blossom. Without a bench, you may toil until sunset without ever smelling a single rose. Self-fixed culture removes benches. It tells you rest is for the finished, and you are never finished. Restore the bench. Sit often. Community amplifies sufficiency. Gather with people who celebrate ordinary moments. Share meals that are simple but made with love. Tell stories that do not end in "look how superior I am," but in "here is a laugh we can share." Echoes of enoughness grow louder in such circles until the old song of lack fades into background noise. Imagine society measuring success by how much well-being we spread instead of how much we accumulate. Schools would teach emotional literacy and compassion. Workplaces would reward collaboration over rivalry. Media would spotlight stories of people living richly with little. This shift begins with individuals. Every time you choose sufficiency, you cast a quiet vote for that future. Travel offers lessons too. When you visit a village where people own few possessions yet laugh freely, you see that worthiness does not depend on abundance. You may return home and look at your shelves different. Many objects were bought as tickets to worth. Some still bring joy. Others remind you of the old spell. Free to release them, you create space for breathing and imagination. Parents worry about raising children who feel enough. Praise effort instead of outcome. Encourage curiosity more than performance. Let them see adults apologizing, resting, enjoying life without perfect results. A child who witnesses sufficiency grows into an adult who embodies it, spreading the message forward. Even nature models sufficiency. Watch a river. It flows without certificates of achievement. It shapes canyons over centuries by simply keeping on. Enoughness does not mean inactivity. It means aligned activity. The river trusts gravity. You can trust the natural pull of your own interests and values. Creativity reveals true freedom of being enough. Sing in the shower, sketch on napkins, dance in the kitchen. These acts serve no market, yet they nourish the soul. They remind you that life's worth is in the living, not in the grading. Death is an undeniable teacher. At the end, people rarely say, "I wish I had fixed myself more." They say, "I wish I had loved, played, rested, been kind." Recognizing your finite time highlights the absurdity of postponing enjoyment until you're perfect. Perfection is a moving cloud. Chase it, and you miss the meadow right under your feet. Spiritual traditions often speak of an inner light. Some call it soul, some call it Buddha nature, some simply call it awareness. Whatever name, the teaching is clear, the light is already shining. Practices like meditation do not create the light. They clear the dust from the lamp. Remember this when you meditate. You are not building a new self. You are revealing what has always been present. Service becomes sweeter when anchored in enoughness. Giving time to help others no longer drains you because it does not subtract from your worth. It expresses it. Compassion overflows naturally. You help not to earn gold stars in heaven, but because love is the most natural act of a heart that knows it is full. Try this reflection. List qualities you once hated about yourself. Maybe you talk too loudly, or think too slowly, or cry too easily. Ask how each trait has served someone. Loud voices can cheer a room. Slow thinkers often dig deeper, and tears signal empathy. Flaws often hide gifts. Seeing this transforms self-hate into respect. Finally, remember that enoughness is a practice, not a conclusion. The old spell is persistent. Some mornings the stone will sneak back into the shoe. When you feel it, pause, breathe, take off the shoe, shake out the stone, and start again. Each time you do, the spell's glue weakens. Over months and years, you create new pathways in the brain paths that lead not to fixing, but to simply living. Life, in its quiet wisdom, keeps offering proof that you are already enough. The breath arrives without permission. The heart beats in your sleep. The earth spins and brings dawn after every dark night. None of this requires your perfection. It only invites your presence. Accept the invitation. Answer with the simplest words. Here I am, already enough, ready to live.